So recently I've been getting the question lately, how do you record your audio underwater? Well, stick with me through this video. We're going to take a look at the gear and the equipment that make it possible. Hey guys, my name is Jeff, and on Triton's Realm, along with my wife Sara and our son Evan, we like to showcase the beauty of the underwater world through the lens of the adventure of it all. And part of that, to make that happen for us, is to be able to narrate our dives underwater kind of as they happen so that you can be right there with us. And we've got a lot of equipment to make that possible, and have gotten some questions along the way on how we actually do it. So let's dig into it. So some quick backstory here before we dig into the equipment of it all. I have been a dive instructor since 1996, and I grew up outside Chicago, and during my time in Chicago I was a volunteer diver at the Chicago Shed Aquarium there in the oceanarium, diving with the beluga whales and the Pacific white-sided dolphins, helping to clean and maintain that environment there. What I really wanted to do though was be the diver in the tropical environment that kind of narrated the dive for everybody who was coming to visit. Now, there was a long waiting list to be that volunteer, and just about the time I was at the top of that waiting list, I moved out of the area. Came down to the tropics, so it wasn't a bad trade-off, but I wasn't able to realize that dream of being able to narrate from within the aquarium itself. So I thought, how can I bring this out into the open water? And it took some time, but we eventually made it happen. In total, it took about 2 years of preparation from a training standpoint and identifying and getting the necessary equipment to make it happen, and then fine-tuning that equipment to bring it out into the open water where we can actually make that dream a reality of narrating our dives underwater. So it was not an easy feat by any means. We looked at several ways on how to make this happen. And one involved a surface station, but we didn't always want to be tethered to a boat with the necessary recording equipment. Another solution involved connecting the wires for the audio directly to the camera, but that had its own challenges in that I couldn't film myself while being tethered directly to the camera and having the audio cable feed directly into the video camera. I needed another diver to be able to film me from afar while I was still recording the audio, with the idea that we would sync it up in post-production. So obtaining that goal was a little bit of a challenge. So the key was to really be wireless and self-sufficient underwater from an audio standpoint. We finally figured it out, but again, it took a couple of years to make it all happen. So step one was really becoming certified and proficient in full face mask diving, so that we could talk without a regulator in our mouth. So both my son Evan and I went through the necessary training. So Evan and I did our full face mask training here on St. Croix with Mark, who owns the Sweet Bottom Dive Center. So Mark, thank you for all you've done from a training and equipment standpoint, because Mark is also the OTS dealer here on the island. And without him, we really couldn't have made this happen. So thank you, Mark, for everything. And this is not a video that's sponsored by OTS whatsoever, but at the end of the day, pretty much all of our equipment is OTS gear, or Ocean Technology Systems gear. So the first thing was our full face mask here, which is the OTS Guardian. This is a fantastic mask. I'm not going to go into all the details here on the Guardian, but it is a great mask for doing what we need to record the audio underwater. The regulator just kind of plugs in on the front, and maybe in the future we'll do a more detailed video on just a full face mask, but there are some really good ones out there already. But nonetheless, I don't think anybody's focusing on the audio aspect of it, so that's what we're doing here today. It's got an output cable that leads to a microphone that's right in here in the nose pocket, and then on the outside there is a button that can be used for push to talk, which is primarily what I use to activate the microphone. Second to that is another underwater housing, and this is just an empty housing. I'll open this up here in a second, but here I've got a Y splitter cable that kind of goes straight into that housing and then connects to the output from the microphone. And I've still got another end here. We'll get to that in just a moment. But in the underwater housing, I'm going to open up these alligator clips here. It's just empty inside. I basically take an off-the-shelf audio recorder. In this case, I've got a little Sony. I put some ply lock or fancy Velcro on the back of it here. I'll plug it in with a standard microphone jack right in there and place it right into the underwater housing and use that ply lock to secure it in place. And then close it up. Now when I'm diving, I've already activated the recorder so that it is recording audio even while I'm dry, but the housing is all sealed up. But it is ready to go at that point. The next piece of equipment I've got here is the other end of the Y cable. Connects to the SSB 2010. This is the single sideband acoustic telephone by OTS, and it's a transmitter and receiver essentially underwater for sound. So from my microphone, the sound is then transmitted into the recorder where it grabs it, and then also transmitted out into the water where my son and I can talk and communicate using our full face mask system. Now I'm usually the only one though that dives with the recorder. After the dive, I'll rinse this all off and then dry this all off and then open up the housing here, take out the audio track, and then pair it with the video track. Now, to make that happen and to make sure it gets synced, I use a numbering system. I'll say the number 5, for example, and show the number 5 to the video, and then at that point I know that that's where that segment for the audio corresponds to with the video track. So I use a combination of hand signals and audio signals to make sure that my tracks are kind of aligned from an audio standpoint and a video standpoint. So that's how I sync those up. There is definitely a bit of an expense in making this all happen, but we did try a DIY solution that works pretty well and is a little more cost effective here. So for our DIY solution that we've got, credit for this again needs to go to OTS for making it happen. John there is a wealth of knowledge and has a video of him underwater with some other divers where they're recording their audio with a GoPro, and so I asked him how it happened, and he was kind enough to share that information with me, so I'm just passing along what I've gotten from OTS. But essentially on the side of the Guardian here is this rail mount system, and we can mount a GoPro on the side of the mask itself. And then we've got an underwater housing, our super suit here for our GoPro, which goes right on the side of the mask. So here's the key to making this DIY solution work. On the back of the super suit housing here, there's a little piece of ply lock, again, just some fancy Velcro that's a little bit stronger. And what I do then is I pop out one of the headphones from the speaker here from the pocket, being careful not to get the cable wrapped up in anything, but I'll bring that around. Need to adjust the rail here real quick, but I'll bring that around and marry the piece of ply lock that I have on the back of the speaker with the piece on the outside of the super suit here on the GoPro housing. Now this totally works. The microphone on the GoPro will pick up the sound from the speaker without any problem whatsoever. The downside that we found to it is that it also picks up a lot of the ambient noise. So although the regulator exhaust is on the opposite side of the rail mount system and the GoPro, it does have a tendency to pick up a lot of the bubble noise, and it's really noticeable in the audio track. So although we do use this from time to time because it's a little lighter weight, it does have that downside of picking up a lot of the ambient noise that's going on in the water. So the underwater housing with the audio recorder combined with the SSB 2010 acoustic telephone here and the microphone inside the Guardian full face mask really gives us the ability to independently record our audio and then marry it up again in post with the video. We're not tethered to a camera, we're also not tethered at all to a surface station and don't have any of those limitations, which is fantastic. The more DIY solution here with Velcroing or using ply lock to secure the speaker directly to the outside of the GoPro housing works, but again, it does pick up a lot of ambient noise. And it looks like it's about to rain here. This should pass over quick. Well, we almost made it before the rain really came in, but guys, if you haven't seen any of our underwater videos yet where we use this equipment, definitely check out the playlist above. We release a new video every week, or at least we really try really hard to. But guys, thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button if you like this video, and we will see you underwater.